Pause and solve because the answer is B, text structure. So let's do some chunking, do some thinking, and then go after these beautiful items down here. I look at my first sentence, which ends up being my first chunk, and I summarize it as, using the telescope, they measured wavelengths of an exoplanet. Great. I read the next sentence, and I summarize it accordingly, CO2 in atmosphere because of wavelengths. Awesome. Final sentence, final chunk. I come up with this. The finding is not only first CO2 proof, but also telescope potential. I notice the significance of this correlative conjunction. This signal element is screaming to me something important, so I don't drop him from my summary. Now I go down to these items. Looking at A, I see it discusses a method used by some researchers, and that seems fine. Then states why an alternative method is superior to it. There was no negativity in this text. We ended on that huge positivity up here with the not only, but also. So I move on to B because A falls. In B, it describes how researchers made a scientific discovery. It feels like my summary does that. Then explains the importance of that discovery. I think so. The not only, but also signal element makes me feel like I have these two things that it's doing. So I'm kind of in love with B, but I keep looking. As I look to C, it outlines the steps taken in a study. Sure, I'll just grant that it does that. Then it gives me this notion that it's a hypothesis based on this study. I know that this would be a tricky pick. This item is why it's a medium question, but you have to ask yourself that these are in order. Do you really feel that blue equals the hypothesis? That's what it's saying. It's saying that this final component, after the steps taken, this is where hypothesis is. There's no shot that you would say that the first part, the first CO2 proof, is a hypothesis. The only thing that you would cope yourself into is thinking of this potentiality of the James Webb Telescope is where the hypothesis is. But then I have to ask you, do you really feel that optimism is a hypothesis? If that were so, I would be a gosh darn scientist published everywhere because, well, optimism's kind of my thing, but that's not the case. This only fits into the lens of importance of the discovery. I've got those two things. C falls. I look to D. It examines how a group of scientists reached a conclusion. Sure, I feel like it does that. Then challenged. Get out of here. That's not it. You want to take your time because when you have this beautiful summary up here, you won't get thrown through some sort of crazy loop about B versus C.